Doctor, back here on the program. Here's the doctor we were talking about, Dr. Izzeldin Abuelaish. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you so much.
How are you, sir?
Thank you.
So, I Shall Not Hate is, well, first of all, I've got a Japanese version, which is amazing. It's 33 languages?
23 languages.
23. This book has been published in right now. For people who are just coming to know your story, take us back to that day, January 16.
16th of January is one of my days in my life. As my life was a war, so 16th of January was the war in my life. On that day when I was with my children, when an Israeli tank to bomb my daughter's room, killing 3 daughters and 1 niece. For nothing they did, there was no reason. But as I said, my life was a war. I was fighting to survive. And it was one day I survived it, and I was determined from the first moment that this tragedy was for good and will be invested for good.
So people who, when they'll come to know your story, will see the positivity and the resilience that you have. But in that moment, when you realize what's happening, and you know, we had heard the clip before you on the phone, and you know that your children have suffered and died in this. How did you get to that place so quickly?
I was expecting it. It wasn't in a sudden. For 3 weeks, I was expecting the bad and the worst to happen, and prepared, even when we were sleeping by night, to allow 3 of my children to sleep behind this wall, the other behind the other wall, in case any bomb to come, not all of us to die.
Right.
So I was well prepared for any bad thing to happen, and my life taught me that the bad can happen, and how can I move beyond it?
Well, you have to also make sure that your kids don't grow up with hate as well, and that's why I Shall Not Hate is the book, because it's a very easy trap to fall into, and a reasonable one to fall into, too. When you witness that kind of devastation, it's easy for people to fall into.
But we need to think, you know, even what can we achieve with hatred?
Yeah.
And what are we doing to the others with hatred? Hatred, for me, from the first moment I thought of it, it's a self-destructive disease. It's a chronic, complicated disease, and it doesn't go beyond the one who carries it. I see hatred as a fire, which burns the one who carries it.
What's it like for you to spend a lot of time talking about things that are so tragic for you, to relive those stories and relive that day?
It's a moral responsibility, because in my life I am accountable to my daughters who were killed, whom I see them. They are talking to me, because, as I said, they are alive running with me. I don't need someone to remind me with them. What am I doing for my living children? I am doing it for my daughters. And from the first moment I saw my daughters killed, I swore to God and to them, I will never rest or relax. I fully believe one day I will meet them, but with what? With the big gift, to tell them that your holy souls and noble blood wasn't waste. It made a difference in others' lives, and that's what can I do, and the means. It's the wisdom. We all are blessed. The kind, good words and the good deeds.
How do you think this message is being received?
It has been a positive and resonated with everyone. And most of the people, I say, it's a hopeful message, and it resonated with the people in Japan. Just in Yuli, when I came, after I gave a speech, someone to approach me and to say, you changed my life. Another woman to come to say, now I am different from yesterday. The message even about Canada, even in Canada, what I have seen from a woman who came here and to say to me, after hearing, I want you to know that I named my first daughter after your first daughter, Bisan. And believe me, thank you. And to thank her for keeping my daughter alive in her house. And that's what I believe in. My daughters are not killed.
If you go to the doctor's website, here there's lots of information on there, including this clip here from Christiane Amanpour. Take a look at this.
In the Middle East, lasting peace will only come with the full empowerment of women and girls, their full education, their full rights, and their fully rightful place in society. Even in the worst and most divisive conflicts, such as the one between Israelis and Palestinians right now, people make a difference. People who are willing to shatter those divisive paradigms, really, and to shatter those extremes, and to come together in a group as one, in tolerance, in love, and with the deep conviction that relationships between people, no matter who they are, can make a difference.
Thank you. she's talking about, right? Yeah. So tell me about this organization then, this idea of getting
Daughters for Life to keep in memory of my daughters. When my daughters, they have their dreams, they have their plans. They were successful girls, and they have their father who can support them. I thought, what can I do to keep my daughters alive and to prove this tragedy was for good? It's Daughters for Life Foundation, which is a Canadian registered charity for education of girls and women from the Middle East, irrelative to their background, whether Muslims, Jewish, Christian, Jews, any girl who is succeeding from hardship. Because a healthy, educated girl and woman will raise a healthy, educated children, husband, family, community, and nation. It's time for women to take the rule. They don't miss anything what is needed to give them the opportunity, and this can happen with education.
It's important what you said there, the idea that it doesn't matter the background of the kid. Now, I know that in this conversation that there are, I mean, you're getting a lot of support, but it's not universal. There are Palestinians who look at you and say, you're a tool for Israel. There are people in Israel who don't like the position you're in and wondering, you know, should you have been in that place in the first time? How are you bridging that gap, getting them, and how are you relating to that criticism?
We need to think of the majority. As a medical doctor, we think of the majority, not the exceptional cases. Yeah. The exceptional cases are exceptional cases, but the majority of people, the message resonates with them. No difference, even as a gynecologist, as a doctor. When I deliver a baby, there is no difference between the cry of the Muslim, the Jewish, the Christian. It's a cry of a newborn baby, a cry of hope and responsibility.
No, Doctor, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Daughters for Life is the foundation. The website is daughtersforlife.com. Dr. Izzeldin Abuelaish. We'll be right back. Thank you.